It's time for me to faint enthusiasm about this week's episode of Boruto Naruto Next Generations. And that's frankly because I think it kinda sucked. Objectively speaking, this actually wasn't a bad episode of Boruto Naruto Next Generations. It just wasn't the episode for me. I was expecting maybe just a little bit more from this one, which ultimately, in my opinion, is sort of like a combination of all of the worst parts of the original Naruto series, which is retelling the same thing over and over again, and giving us a ham-fisted lesson at the end of the episode, which might as well be a PSA from the 1980s G.I. Joe cartoon. Now, the difference is, in the 1980s G.I. Joe cartoon, that was actually kind of funny and ridiculous, how they address the viewer and break the fourth wall. It's funny stuff, but here it's always under the guise of some other weird things where all the planets align on this perfect mission, which is all an excuse to teach Boruto something that in a couple of days, weeks, months from now, he's probably going to completely forget all about. This episode right here, like I said, was not for me. But still, the story was fairly interesting, even the way that things lined up so perfectly. But I will say, the end of the episode has me excited, as it looks like they're about to introduce a brand new villainous organization that wear creepy owl masks. They kind of remind me of the Court of Owls from the Batman comic book series, and maybe they even have similar seedy aspirations. Inquiring minds want to know, and we'll have to wait to see how that's all going to go down. But this episode right here is all about Boruto and Team 7 stopping a crazy dude who is about to rob a bank and blow it all up with this massive vest, which is charged with all sorts of explosives. It's basically talking down someone before they kill themselves, because there are no hostages. Basically, this is all this sad sack story about this dude who lost his job working for this video game company after just pouring his blood, sweat, and tears into this game, but realizing that he and his colleagues were pushed too far. When he tries to complain to the big boss, they end up creating a fake story and getting him fired. So, after months of trying to find a job and not really getting anyway, well, I guess it's just time to blow himself up. Coincidentally, the video game that he worked on just so happens to come out on this day, and Boruto happened to pick it up. It's some sort of ninja fighting game. I'm not really sure what that's all about. Basically, we have this ridiculous situation where we have this dude who is about to blow himself up and kill himself in the middle of Konoha Village, which is filled to the brim with all sorts of ridiculously strong ninja. So what do? They send frickin' the kid in to be the negotiator. I understand that they're ninjas and they're young and they're probably going to experience things that normal kids will never ever see. They're a lot more mature and they grow up faster and they're obviously incredibly powerful, what with their ninja abilities and all, but really shouldn't they have sent someone in a little more qualified to actually do this? I don't know. I mean, at least Boruto, like his father, is able to talk people down, and eventually he does get the guy to, just sort of give up then and there. It looks like the guy is actually going to decide to be influenced by Boruto. He's like, you know what? You're right. Screw my boss. I'm going to blow myself up anyway. It doesn't even turn out to be real explosives, and the guy's going to get off with some slaps on the wrist. It's absolutely insane. They even take the time to introduce some new characters. This brand new Konoha police officer. It looks like they're bringing them back, making them look even more like modern-day police officers. This one huge dude by the name of Motaro or Kotaro or something around those lines. I don't know. It sounded like someone from Mortal Kombat. And basically, he's there just to establish that, yeah, the police force is still here. We recognize the Uchiha. They're awesome. This guy apparently knows Sarada and wants her to join the force someday. That'd be a pretty crazy spin-off of the Naruto series. Sarada in some sort of, like, buddy cop scenario. I'd pay to see it. I think it'd be really cool. For me, it's more interesting than what's going on in this episode. Like I said, it just sort of drags on. It's really divided into two halves, with the first half of the episode being a retread of Boruto and his friends going on a mission to save a lost cat. We have seen that so many times in this series, and honestly, I think the joke is getting a little old. I understand what they're trying to do here, and to establish that this truly is the next generation of Team 7, but they didn't have to do the whole cat thing again. At least they got it out of the way. We're not going to have to see it again, and it was barely in the episode at all. The second half of the episode really is all about Boruto being like his father when he was younger, just wanting to go on a much more serious mission and not being impressed by basically just doing chores around the village. And then, of course, he gets dragged into this situation, which is a hostage situation, and he decides to go all top no jutsu on this guy, and it starts feeling like old school Naruto, and it feels like I've been here before, and I'm done with this review. So what's the rundown on this episode of Boruto? Like I said, objectively speaking, this is actually a pretty decent episode. But for me, though, it's just more of the frickin' same. I've been down this road before, and I don't have much more really to add to this review right here. They introduced some somewhat maybe cool villains at the very end of the freaking episode, implying again that Konoha's defenses are still pretty easy to get through, which is kind of a shame, especially after you saw what happened after the end of the Pain arc. You'd think that they would up the security just a tad, but who knows? The Owls are coming into town, and maybe they're going to be pretty cool. We'll have to see. Maybe this is going to lead into our first real major arc with them as Genin, which honestly I do applaud. I just wish it could have been introduced in a more exciting episode. So basically this boils down to the whole classic Naruto meets someone with a problem and something that he can relate to, something that's been going on in his life, intersects with theirs, they solve a problem together, the day is saved, power of friendship. This is a 3 out of 5. For me, it's like a 2 out of 5. Like, this is the type of episode that, like, when I'm going to rewatch the series, I'm going to be hitting that skip button. I'm just not going to watch this one again. That's just the way I feel. But like I said, at its core, it's just an average episode of Boruto, which you should check out if you are a fan of the series at least once. Or skip it. I don't really care. Anywho, that's my review of this week's episode of Boruto. Hopefully things pick up in the next episode, but I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. Tell me in the comment section below, and what you guys want to see from the future of the series. And make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video. You guys know the pitch. I'll see you guys next time. And as always, stay down there, baby.